What's going on, guys? Stock Picks by Tim here, and I'm uploading this here on a Sunday, but we've got a lot going on this week. We've got a lot of small caps that I talk about reporting earnings, and also we've got inflation data coming out, which hopefully will be less than the previous month, and we are on our trajectory downwards from here. So this could be a huge pivotal moment for the market this week. You've got to stay tuned on it. And inflation is expected to be roughly 8.1% compared to 8.5% previously. And core CPI, so that was the PPI, but core CPI is expected to be about 6.1 from 6.5 before. So keep an eye on those. It's very important that they are at the very least less than the previous month. They might not be in line with the 8.1 or the 6.1, but they at least are better than the previous month, and that's going to be important, which is the previous month was 8.5 for PPI and 6.5 for CPI. So keep an eye on that. So this inflation data is definitely going to help dictate kind of which direction the market wants to take. So I do expect some choppiness throughout this week, a little bit of uncertainty. We have had uncertainty and fear, so we will probably continue to have that until this information comes out. And if it does come out positive, if it even beats expectations, if we get better than expected inflation, i.e. inflation coming down more than expected, this could cause a huge rally in the stock market. So next up, I'm going to get into a couple of stocks reporting earnings, and I've actually got a clip for you guys from CleanSpark, but I highly recommend you watch the full video. Rex Finance actually interviewed CleanSpark, Zach Bradford, and Matt Schultz. Highly recommend you watch the whole thing. There's a lot of information you're not going to get anywhere else. So great job, Rex. I think you asked some very good questions.
I would say that most of the major institutions or in banks have an analyst here. And we'll probably meet with, by the time this is done and over with, and Gary's doing a lot of meetings too. That's why he's not here right now. We'll probably met with 12 to 15 analysts. Wow. And so hopefully some of those will ultimately lead to coverage. And some are a lot bigger banks than we've dealt with in the past, and some are smaller banks. But all of that coverage is good and important, right? It's important to get some ratings out there and some price targets that reflect the future value. So yeah, I think it's been a big success in meeting with the analysts here.
Alright guys, hope you enjoyed that short clip. Now really, go check that video out. It's about an hour long, but there's so much information there. Highly recommend you check it out. Now looking at CleanSpark, we do have a lot of fear coming up to earnings, and it was the case previously. We did hit 550 last earnings. We're coming into earnings at about 650. I don't expect us to hit 550. We have 2 days until earnings comes out. We're going to likely just kind of sit around where we're at until earnings comes out, and then I expect this to move massively, personally. Now, looking at revenue, we're expecting about a 42 million revenue. I expect to get about 50 million revenue. I've told you guys this before. Now, you can get most of this information from their mining update. Of course, we're going in blind in terms of their energy segment, but based on just what I'm calculating from their mining and my guesses on their energy segment, I'm guessing roughly about 50 million. And I'm very confident that they're going to beat that 42 million, because when you look at their mining updates, they have more than that just with their mining. So I expect them to beat their revenue. It's very important that they are positive EPS again. If they're not 29 cents EPS, I don't care. As long as they're positive, that's what I want to see personally. And as you guys all know, I'm extremely bullish on CleanSpark. This is literally my highest conviction stock, and if you haven't looked into this one, I highly recommend you do so. I cover CleanSpark all the time. Just watch a previous video. Definitely love CleanSpark, the company. Things are getting better and better. That revenue continues to increase, and they've got a lot of deals moving forwards. A lot of expansion coming up with Lancium and moving to Texas. So stay tuned for Tuesday. It is going to be a very big day. We've got a lot of other companies reporting earnings as well. We've also got Matterport reporting the same day, May 10th, and I'm fully built out on this one, but I will be watching it, and I will likely be covering it for you guys. Tuesday is going to be a very busy day, so I will likely be covering CleanSpark in depth, and possibly Workhorse. I'm not sure yet, but Matterport, I will at the very least get their earnings, cut it up, give you an edited version, 15 minutes. Usually earnings calls are anywhere from 45 to an hour, so hopefully you guys appreciate just a cut up, kind of cleaned up version of their earnings. But it's just going to be too much work for me to cover every single earnings, go into detail, all the editing, that all that kind of stuff. But I will be cutting up, Matterport, Workhorse, CleanSpark, and Sensionics also coming up with earnings. There might be one I'm forgetting here, but it's going to be a very busy Tuesday, so I will try to do as much as I can, but I'm only one human, and I do have 2 kids, so bear with me here. And as I just said, Sensionics is reporting earnings too, and what I really want to see with this one, so look at May 13th year over year. Look at last year, we had a 2.85 million in revenue. I want to see us at least beat that, and it'd be nice to beat the -4 EPS, -4 cents EPS, but when you look at the previous quarter we reported, we had 4 million in revenue reported. We did beat, and we had -4 cents EPS. What we're expected for May 10th is going to be 2.24 million. and negative 4 cents EPS. So for that revenue, I really want to see us beat 2.85. It'd be nice to get to 3 million in revenue. However, we'll see with this one. I am very confident in Sensionics for the long term. They were just FDA approved for their 6-month CGM, which is the longest lasting CGM on the market. And they're also expanding into Europe, and I believe Essentia is helping them with that. But I'm very bullish on Sensionics, and I do expect on the earnings call that we're going to get some interesting outlooks because of this product now being FDA approved. Now they can likely price in some revenues for that. So stay tuned with Sensionics. I think it's going to be a huge week for Sensionics as well. Also, Workhorse, or WKHS, also reporting on Tuesday, also reporting on May the 10th. I personally don't expect to see any revenue. It's expected to be roughly 15,000. I'm not worried about that. What I want to see is an update on just what they're doing with production. Are they starting to sell vehicles? Are they at least starting to roll them out? And how I look at Workhorse now is, if you've held throughout all this time, this has got to be probably the worst time to sell, right before they're actually in the process of turning this company around. Of course, it's a high risk, high risk, high reward, and of course things might not work out, and very possible there's going to be more dilution down the road, acquiring more debt, that kind of stuff. Of course, it is a very small cap, very risky, and they don't yet really have any real revenue. However, this is a small cap EV play that I'm willing to risk it on. But keep an eye on Workhorse. It's going to be a very busy week. And also, this one isn't going to be on Tuesday, but this one's coming up as well. Indie Semiconductors. This is my very, very high conviction semiconductor play. And if you haven't checked it out, I highly recommend you do so. They have a fantastic executive team. They supply some of the top manufacturers with chips. And of course, the semiconductor chip in vehicles is expected to grow massively. And for instance, in a recent NIO earnings call, they were actually mentioning that they need about $1,000 per car in terms of vehicle chips. And it's only going to continue that way as we get more sensors, as we move forwards, things get more advanced, technology gets cheaper. There will be more and more semiconductors in vehicles, and I expect Indie will benefit from this. Now, I'm extremely bullish on Indie. This is my highest conviction chip company. I know I have AMD as well, but I'm actually higher convicted on Indie. I believe more in Indie. If you want to go with something that's less risky, potentially also less reward, AMD I see as a great option long term, and things are actually going good there. And if you didn't watch their previous earnings, I'll leave you guys a link below for that, or a link at the end screen. But I do cover AMD's earnings, and they gave a good outlook, good forward guidance. They beat their revenue expectations. And AMD looks really great too to invest in, but I like Indie just because I see a lot more reward potential. I like the executive team on Indie. They have a lot of experience. So I see Indie as a higher risk but higher reward potential. And then I see AMD as kind of a more solid, more, I wouldn't say guaranteed, but more, you can bet more that you're going to make money on that one for sure. Now, next up, I wanted to actually get into VGX. I haven't mentioned this in a while. We broke that $1.30, which was a long-standing old support. Once we broke our support, we tried to retest it, and we just fell right through that floor, and we're continuing down. I think it's a falling knife. I think it's going to continue down, and I do think we're going to potentially test $1, and I've said that previously. We've been creating lower lows. We did break from our about $6, $7, created a new lower low. However, we were pretty oversold. We bounced back, but I do expect we are going to kind of chop around and start selling off again. It does, of course, depend on where Bitcoin goes, but I do expect that if Bitcoin moves to the downside, VGX will move more to the downside. And if Bitcoin moves to the upside, VGX will move to the upside at a lesser rate. So right now with this regulatory fear with VGX, things are definitely not going to be good for it. And they will likely continue down, likely chop around, and continue to show fear until we get some resolution there. That being said, I'm very bullish on Voyager for the long term. I like their executive team. They've got experience at a little place called E-Trade. And also, they're planning on allowing stock trading on their platform soon. We're going to have integrated wallets. We're going to have NFT support, USDC-based card. Looking forward to that. And, in terms of Voyager compared to other exchanges, they have actually been growing at a faster pace compared to other companies like Gemini, for example. So I'm very bullish on VGX for the long term. I'm kind of just watching it here. I kind of like to just dollar cost average mostly with VGX, especially with how unpredictable it's been lately. I feel like it has just as good of a chance to try to test that $1.30 as much of a chance as it does to break $1, personally. I think it's basically a coin flip in the direction it takes. And honestly, if we do break $1.05, I expect us to break $1, or at least test $1 first before breaking it. And we will find resistance at $1.30. And so I think we will chop around this 90 cent to about $1.30 range until we finally get some information or some closure regarding the regulation. there's always a way Voyager could work this around potentially. But that's just something interesting to think about with VGX. They could always change it up, you know, they could make it to where just by being a user on the platform, they give you a little bit of VGX. I mean, there's definitely a way around it. I'm sure they can figure this out. But that was just a quick update for you guys. What are you looking for in the market this week? Definitely stay tuned for the inflation data. And don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. I will be posting a lot this week. Thanks as always, guys. Take it easy.